Hey comic book fans, and welcome back to the Comic Fix, your one-stop shop for every single thing DC Comics, to some creator-owned, to a little bit Marvel. My name's David, and welcome to the Comic Fix. And just a friendly reminder, comment down below and you can get in for the contest to win the first 5 issues of Rachel Rising. So just comment below and let me know what you got, anything to what your heart desires. Just comment down below. And so let's get started with Batman issue number 28. Now, Scott Snyder, he has told us through Twitter that with Batman issue number 29, he has decided to put a lot more pages in there. And so Greg Capullo had some more time to work on the book. He gave issue number 28 the chance to just tell a little piece of the puzzle to Batman the Eternal. Now, Batman the Eternal is going to be the weekly series that's going to be coming out every single week starting in April. And so with that, he gives us this little sneak preview to what's to come. I have to say that when Scott Snyder told everybody about this, about issue number 28, what it's going to be doing, I was kind of excited but skeptical at the same time. Because with the weekly comic book series, it could either go terrifically like the 52, or it could go horribly the wrong like Countdown. And so was my fears kind of die down with this issue? I kind of will say yes. Now, this book I feel is more written by James Tynion IV, which he is co-writer of this book. And I feel like Scott Snyder just told him, hey, here's like what I want to happen, you just do the dialogue and whatnot. And so, with this issue, you get to see Harper Row, and you see her at Gotham after 8 p.m. These cops are coming down there saying, you are not supposed to be out here past 8 o'clock. There's a curfew, and we're going to beat the living shit out of you. And you just look at Harper Row in these images, and there was this one image in particular. I forget who did the artist in this book, but I just felt like in just certain panels, Harper Row looked really, really small compared to everything else, and almost like a child. And I felt like that through this issue that the artwork was not as good as I would think. Maybe it's just because I got so used to Greg Capullo's artwork, but I just felt like that the artwork it didn't grab me as much as I wanted to. Now, I do know with a weekly series, I'm probably seeing this guy's artwork more and more. I'll be able to grasp onto and enjoy his book a lot more. But for now, with just issue number 28, just as like almost like one shot of what's to come in Batman Eternal, I just say that the artwork just did not grab me as much as I wanted it to. And then you get to see a little bit of pieces of what is spoilers in the Batman Eternal. Like Scott Snyder said right away, there's going to be a lot of spoilers in here, very spoiler heavy, and literally spoiler heavy. And so this is just him just being like, all right, guys, I gave you a little piece of the pie. You want the whole thing? Now come on, guys. I know you want it. And with that, I felt like he hit every single point that he wanted to do. I am intrigued with Batman the Eternal a lot more now than I was just before reading this issue. I just hope that the artwork gets a little bit better, and maybe I'll just get used to it. Which that's mostly what happens when you just see a brand new artist and you kind of don't really care for his style because you're not used to it yet. And then once you see his style a little bit more, you get to appreciate it a lot more because you see what he's doing and how he's improving. And so I thought that Batman issue number 28 was not the book I was expecting, or the book that I never knew that I wanted. But Scott Snyder and James Tynion did it. They made a guy who is kind of skeptical about a weekly comic book series and made him intrigued. There are points in this book that you just don't know what the hell's going on, but you want to know what the hell's actually going on. And that's what the book tried to do. And so for Batman issue number 28, it's a fun ride. It's a ride that's going to have you a lot more questions than answers, but it's going to give you some of the fanfare that you've been itching for. And so I give Batman issue number 28 a 4 out of 5. The next book I'm going to be taking a look at is Nightwing issue number 28. Now with Nightwing, we all know that Kyle Higgins is going to be leaving the book after issue number 29. So this is basically his next to last issue on his run on Nightwing. You all know my thoughts on Nightwing, and I thought that his run was just bogged down so much by tie-ins after tie-ins after tie-ins. So with this issue, what does he bring to the table to make us think, yes, this was a great story arc, or this was a good ending to somebody's run? But I have to say, this run has ended on a whimper. We have in here Nightwing facing off against this guy who can go and transform into any character he wants to. He almost reminds me of one of those not RoboCop, but Terminator villains that we would see in Terminator 2. And you're just looking at this and you're like, that right there, folks, it's a pointless fight for just having a fight. And then you got one character going to her father and saying to him, did you kill Dick Grayson's parents? And you see, I believe her name's Sonia, you see her looking at her father's eyes, and that was the most interesting parts, where you see a daughter going to her father who's in prison, who has basically faked his death for so long, and just seeing her being like, F you to my father, and I'm just going to move on with my life, and you're just going to rot here in prison. That was probably the most interesting point in this book. And then in the third act, you have some of the most worst... Yeah, it is some of the worst writing / events that you just so generic. Where you see these two people, they should be going to the Zorro movie, just like how we've seen in Batman so many times. And they're taking their little daughter to go to some event in the city of Chicago. And what happens? Alright, people, I'm just going to give you one guess. Just one guess to try to guess what happens. Okay, you guys can't guess? Okay, here it is. Now, just brace yourself. The parents die! Oh no! And so the girl is just left all on her own, and we have Dick Grayson gonna go and, I don't know, train her to become a next vigilante? No clue. But everything in this book was so freaking generic. You read it all before, people. And I'm so sad to see the way that Kyle Higgins' run is ending on Nightwing. It's not ending like the way I thought it would, but just on a whimper. I can't wait to see this book end, because it needs to. Kyle Higgins, I believe he just has nothing to tell, and he is just done with this book, and he's already focusing on his next project with Batman Eternal. This book right here had the artist. Okay, let me talk about the artist for a second. Okay, so they had this artist on here. You could definitely tell that he's kind of messing with his craft, and you could tell really he's trying to do facial animation, or just showing some the look of fear, the look of terror, the look of happiness. You can really see that he's trying to mess with the facial aspects of his drawing. And there's just some periods in this book where you're just looking at it and you're just looking, that just looks god-awful, my friend. But then there are some times where the book, you look at his facial animation, you're like, huh, that's actually pretty damn good. But there's a lot more of the bad in here than the good. I feel that DC Comics is just shelling out this book to get to issue number 30 where they can just end it. And then we don't know what happens in Nightwing, but I could tell from this point on, I just have no urge to go pick up the next 2 issues. I will, just to review them. Maybe they'll get better, maybe they won't. But people, don't pick up this book. This book is just dull. It's something you've read 1,000 times before. And trust me, there's a lot better books out there than this book right here. So I'm going to give Nightwing issue number 28 a 1 out of 5. And stay away, people, because this book is no good. The final book that I'm going to be taking a look at is Batgirl, issue number 28. Now, Gail Simone has given us an interesting story where she has Strikes and Batgirl going and looking for a missing girl. And you get to see in these elements of Batgirl and Strikes, you get to see Strikes' character being grown in this issue. Under Gail Simone's writing, this character that could easily just be a person that you could easily forget becomes very memorable. From the points where she goes to Batgirl and says, hey, we need to look for this missing girl, and every single time you see Strikes and you see the way that she speaks with her writing, it's just a childlike personality to her. And to see the way that she almost looks at Batgirl as like her mother figure is absolutely amazing. And you just definitely can see that Gail Simone has a story to tell with this character of Strikes. As I said, Strikes could easily be a character that DC Comics could just forget about. Because after the hype of the Corded Owls goes, most likely she will go. But if Gail Simone is doing what I think she's doing, is giving some great character development with this character, I can easily say that we're probably going to see a lot of her down the road. And so, with that, we had the villain of the story. And he's almost like this Blade-esque character where he is going to go and kill the vampires. Now, he has a warped personality, and he believes that the Bat family are vampires. And you get to see him in this cliche slash like vampire-esque moments in here, where you see him waking up in this big old mansion. And you see on his walls it says the Patrons of Gotham, and you see on there the Joker, the Penguin, Two-Face. And you're just looking at this, you're like, okay, Gail, I get it. This is just a vampire cliche I've seen 1,000 times before. Can we get something that makes this character look and act interesting? And there is one point in there where you see Batgirl and Strikes, they just beat the hell out of some goons. And you see Batgirl tying them up, and you see Silver in the background just watching them, and you see him with the binoculars, and he sees Batgirl as a vampire just going sucking the blood out of some thugs. And you just look at this, you're kind of like, okay, this is really interesting. But still, there were just those cliche moments in there that just was like, okay, I get it, Gail, I get it. And I mean, he's like a vampire, but he's like a vampire slayer, but he acts like a vampire himself. It's all very cliched. I am intrigued though to see where the storyline's going to go between Batgirl and Strikes. But other than that, I just couldn't really get into the villain of the story. And with any good superhero comic, you need a villain of the story to be just as strong as your hero. And so I just felt like that part of the book just fell to pieces. But I still am very much intrigued to see the relationship between Strikes and Batgirl and seeing where it will go from here. So in the end, I'm going to give Batgirl issue number 28 a 3 out of 5. And with that, that completes this video, and I want to thank everybody for watching. So, comment down below, and you guys can get into the running for Rachel Rising issues 1 through 5. I mean, this is just me just giving back to my beautiful community, the YCC. It's just beautiful to see you guys and seeing you guys' work. Comment down below and let me know. What do you guys think about Batman Eternal? Do you think that a weekly Batman series can actually work? And what have you guys picked up this week? I want to know. Let's get the conversation started, and I'll see you guys on the next edition of the Comic Fix.